In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Ruger LCP Max. Ruger started producing the original LCP back in 2008, and at the time, many people, including myself, had to get one. The pistol hit the news a few years later in 2010 when then Governor of Texas, Rick Perry, famously shot a coyote with his LCP while out jogging, which triggered many people in the press, no pun intended. Ruger evolved the pistol to the LCP II variant in 2016 with a number of upgrades, including a locking slide on empty, a slightly wider grip, making it easier to rack the slide, and really a better trigger using the same standard LCP 6-round magazines and minimalist sights. In 2021, Ruger upped the ante with the release of their LCP Max series, which now includes a 10-round standard double-stack magazine, improved magazine feed lips, extractor, slide serrations, reversible mag release button, and most notably, a new tritium front night sight with a white outline and a U-shaped rear sight with a flat front face for one-handed cocking. Both sights are dovetail mounted for drift adjustments as well as upgrades. A very nice addition to the LCP. The new Max is also the reason why many people don't want to buy the first releases of new pistols when they come out, but rather wait until they get it right. And in my opinion, they got it right with the Max. It is nearly the same size as the LCP II, only weighs a half an ounce more, and can hold 10 rounds instead of 6, or in this case 12 round magazines with the extended magazines. And for most people, the LCP and the LCP II were really small in the hand, and a slightly wider grip not only adds more rounds, but is simply easier to control for most shooters. The LCP Max is chambered in 380 ACP, which basically is a shorter and weaker version of the 9mm, and a round that I would best describe as a fire and flee type round. If you want to drop and kill what's coming at you, then you probably shouldn't shoot the 380 as your first choice of rounds. This is purely a self-defense round, and I, for one, would be much more comfortable carrying 10 rounds of these in an LCP than 6 if I ever was having to need to use this round and this handgun. Now, the best part of the LCP platform is the weight and concealability. Fully loaded, the Max comes in at around 14 ounces, which basically is less than a pound. So it will not weigh you down in your pocket. This is a very lightweight option, perhaps one of the lightest on the market today. It is also so small it can fit in nearly any pocket, and after a short time you will likely forget that it's even there. Mine also came with a soft pocket holster, as well as a nice little reloader that will help save your fingers when you're shooting these handguns. The LCP currently ships with only one of these 10-round magazines, so I would suggest that you at least pick up one more or pick up one of these 12-round magazines instead. That way you have at least one for carry and then one for practice and or for backup. Now, as far as accuracy is concerned, despite the vastly improved sights on the Max as we talked about earlier, this is still not a target pistol. Most encounters with a little pistol like this would likely be at very close range and will be at a point and shoot type rapid fire scenario, which means even though the sights could help you, they will most likely not be needed in those scenarios. But just in case they are, they do work well, and as we have seen from my targets here, which I fired at a rapid clip from 7 yards with my LCP Max with freehand, this group actually works pretty good for me, and having 10 rounds helps with the odds of hitting the right place in a hurry. But again, at 7 yards for me, freehand shooting the LCP, this is an acceptable target and acceptable accuracy. Now, as far as trigger pull, another thing that could help you in your accuracy is trigger pull. And on my Lyman gauge, the LCP trigger comes in at a 5-pound, 5.5 ounces with a nice break. Now, it should be noted beyond its looks that this is not a striker fire action. So this is actually an internal hammer fired system, which is why you hear that ting when I'm firing, as opposed to what you would typically hear on most striker fire handguns. This also means that if you have cocked the action, nothing will happen. One of the easiest ways to see if the action is fully cocked is to look into the rear of the slide and see if the hammer is fully cocked down, which you can see here, and when it's down. Now Ruger would have been smart if they had colored the top of the hammer red or something to make it more visible, but this is a way that at least visually you can look at it. Now, as far as takedown of the LCP, it's a little bit different again from some striker fire pistols as well, because you need to be able to pop out a pin. A lot of times you can use the shell casing or a small screw, and in this case all you have to do is you pop this pin off of the frame and move the slide forward, and you can see how simple the system is here. Again, it's not a striker fire, so all you're going to see here is the assembly for the fire pin, the simple blowback spring system, which cocks back, which is actioned right here. So very, very simple design. And to reinstall it, all you have to do is put the slide back on, push the pin back into the frame, and you're ready to go. Very simple, very easy to take down, to clean and reassemble the LCP, but remember that you need to either use a shell casing or a small screwdriver to pop this pin out to be able to take it down, and be careful because you can mar up the slide if you're doing that and you're not careful. Now, as far as some of the comparisons, there's a lot of major competitors to the Max, including, for example, the Kel-Tec P3AT, the Glock 42, which I've reviewed before, lightweight revolvers like the Smith & Wesson 442, which again I've reviewed and have links to below, and many more. And although superior to many of these, I did not include the Car P380 due to the significant price difference in comparison to all of the guns that are typically in this type of market today. But for most, the real comparison will come down between the Max and the Glock 42. So let's take a look at the differences side by side. And let's start with weight. Now, in the case with the Glock 42, I have the standard 6-round magazine with a mag guts extension, so it has 7 rounds in the Glock 42. So as we had talked about before, the fully loaded 10-round Max comes in at 14 ounces. The fully loaded with 7 rounds Glock 42 comes in at 1 pound. So basically it's 2 ounces more. And where does that weight coming from? Well, the weight's largely coming from, when you look at them side by side, you'll notice a couple things. The first thing is the height of both of the guns are almost identical. And the width of both of the guns are pretty much identical. It's a slightly wider, but not much more on the Glock. The main difference is the length of the slide and the frame. And that's where you're getting the added weight for the Glock. And one of the reasons why, in my opinion, Glock is failing on the innovation front is the fact that if they would have made a 42 version that did the following, that had about a ½ an inch shorter slide, that was a similar slide length to the LCP, as well as included magazines now that are like staggered stack magazines that you could put into the 42. Shield Arms did this with their other Glock clones, but if they would have put a staggered stack magazine, a metal magazine in here that would carry 8 to 10 rounds, and you had a similar length of slide, in my opinion, I would rather carry the Glock 42 over the LCP. But the reality is, the 42 has been out a while. We've reviewed this before, and there has been no innovation to try to mirror the two up. And that's one of the advantages of why people are carrying the LCP over the Glock 42, because not only does it have a higher capacity, but this difference just in slide length alone can be significant when you're carrying these in your pocket. And that's one of the reasons why the LCP, for many people as a pocket carry gun, is superior to that of the Glock 42, despite my personal opinion that if I were to carry both equally, I would rather carry the Glock 42. To me, it's a more reliable, I'm more accurate with it. However, if I'm not going to put it in my pocket, I'm not going to carry it. And that ½ inch difference in many cases can make all the difference in the world if you want to carry or don't want to carry a concealed handgun. So what are some of the things that I don't like about the LCP Max? The first thing is the mag release button is a little too easy for me to accidentally push and drop a magazine, especially when firing. Now normally, I would like to have this button to be a little bit stiffer, especially in a pocket carry pistol that is more likely to have pressure against it. The last thing I want to do when drawing a carry pistol is to check the seating of the magazine each time that I draw and fire the pistol. And for some reason, and maybe it's just me, this seems to happen to me more with the Max than any of my other carry pistols. So what are my overall impressions of the LCP Max? As previously mentioned, like many others out there, I bought the original LCP when it came out and I ended up hating it and getting rid of it. But most of the things that I disliked about the original LCP seem to be addressed now with the LCP Max, and this is finally a pocket carry gun that I can confidently now carry without reservations. Now, is it perfect? No, but no handgun is. All handguns are a compromise between utility and effectiveness. There are more powerful and better handguns out there, in my opinion, many of which I've reviewed on this channel. But if I don't end up carrying them, then the only thing really safe is my safe where they sit. And that's where the LCP comes in. The LCP Max, in my opinion, is one of the best compromise guns for carrying currently on the market today. And if you find yourself not carrying because of your current pistol size and weight, or if you simply don't mind having an extra pound in your purse or pocket, then take a look at the LCP Max. It might be exactly what you now need. If you like this video or like this channel, please subscribe on YouTube, and thanks for watching.